If I stand on the ground, I get teleported into this area where the only way to leave is to die. You might wonder, why can't I just complete the quest? Well, this is Genshin Questless, the series where I go region by region trying to complete various goals I set, and today for the Natlan episode I will unlock all the statues, attempt to open all tribal vaults, and defeat all local legends in Duelist Series 2, all without touching the ground. Oh, and as a general account goal, I'll see how far I can get into Spiral Abyss. Let's begin. So this is effectively a floor's lava challenge. Well, the first goal is to unlock all the statues, which I have no clue how to do. I guess I'll need to use glitches already. And so the first thing I did was unlock Nod Cry. This might seem unrelated, but here's what I did. At the time of recording, there was a glitch that allowed you to fly horizontally for however long you want. I'm referring to Plunge Aura. So my idea was to fly from the highest point in Nod Cry all the way over to the peak of ALL of NATLAN. Once there, I unlocked a few waypoints. At first this might seem pointless, since if I were to teleport to a waypoint I would just be standing on the ground. But the things I did in this video would not be possible if I hadn't made a few discoveries of my own while recording it, and I'll be revealing them as the video progresses, with the first one being the ability to teleport without touching the ground. Basically, if you disconnect your internet, after a few seconds the game shows this loading circle. If you reconnect it will disappear, but if you disconnect again at the perfect timing, the game will go into this weird state where it still technically hasn't finished loading, but you do have some control over your character. What's important is that when in this state, the game doesn't yet detect that you are standing on the ground, so if you use Aoife's skill, you will start flying without technically touching the ground. Since I unlocked one of the highest waypoints on the map, I could glide quite far with this, which is how I got the first statue. Next, I wanted to unlock the Easy Breeze statue. Initially, I wanted to do the exact same thing, but the issue was that the Paimon barrier was in the way. So instead, I used the out of bounds glitch, otherwise known as time freeze, to stop the game from teleporting me. Then I clipped under the water and simply walked all the way over to the Easy Breeze resort, where I unlocked a few waypoints and afterwards the statue. Also, this accidentally caused this glitch to happen. So that's 2 out of 8 statues unlocked, but how am I supposed to get the rest? Well, this is where the second discovery comes in. Normally, until you complete the quest where you name your Saurian, you can't actually indwell into Saurians. I see no reason for this, but yep, that's the thing. Either way, I found a way to bypass it. For whatever reason, entering one of these phlogiston wind tunnels, which can only be entered with a Kukusaur, Aoife, or Chaska, grants you the ability to indwell into Saurians for that game session. Genuinely, does anyone have any clue why on Teyvat this happens? This makes zero sense to me. Whatever intern's code caused this is very useful to me, as Saurians can actually touch the ground. Kinda. There are a few caveats, such as climbing any steep terrain will generally get you teleported, but that's just details. The main thing is that I can actually walk around, albeit very slowly and as a Saurian. You might think this makes the rest of the challenge trivial, but well, these goals are the ones they are for a reason. Even the current one. While yes, it makes it very easy to unlock most statues, it still leaves us with one. The ALL of NATLAN statue. As a reminder, it is inside this building. Normally, to unlock it you just need to get close and your Saurian companion helps you flick a lever that opens a way in. A slight issue. My Saurian companion is still chilling down in that area I keep getting teleported to, so I'm gonna have to somehow clip in. My first idea was to use the glitch that freezes the level of detail of the map in place. This includes collision, meaning I can just walk through walls. The issue with this is that the statue is pretty high up and the ground it rests on also loses its collision, making it, as far as I can tell, impossible to get up to. I tried doing this same glitch with the Kukusaur, but there is still an issue. As a side effect, this glitch triggers time freeze, which blocks your ability to interact with statues. Normally in this situation I would just stand on safe ground and reload the game, disabling time freeze. But well, I don't have any safe ground to stand on. Everything that has as collision is considered a gadget, not proper ground. So after reloading, it just put me back where I triggered the glitch. So all that doesn't work, but there must be some other way, right? Well, there is. It is a famous glitch called RTP. In short, it allows you to instantly teleport to any waypoint's coordinates. By itself, it isn't too useful here since I can't teleport to the statue since it's locked, but I figured out a way to make it useful by placing the chair gadget that was given out on the anniversary, disconnecting, sitting down, triggering RTP, and then reconnecting. It rubber bands you back but with nothing loaded in. But why does this actually work? Well, when disconnected, the game delays most actions such as sitting down until you reconnect. The unique thing about sitting down is that it brings you to the chair no matter where you are. This means that if you queue up sitting and then teleport far away, the game will unload the area where the chair is and load your new location. If you reconnect, you will be instantly brought back to sit down, and just like with RTP, the game won't catch up with you and the area will still be unloaded. The reason why you need RTP and can't just teleport normally is because normal teleports also get queued up when disconnected. Using this, I simply glided down to the statue and activated it. So that's the first goal completed, all statues unlocked. The next one is unlocking all tribal secret spaces. If you're unaware, these are little caves you unlock with 3 obsidian ring fragments, which can be gotten from precious and luxurious chests in the same area. I decided to start with Kotepec Mountain, home of the Scions of the Canopy. At first I was just using Saurians to slowly kill enemies and get easy chests, but I knew that if I was going to need to get pretty much every precious and luxurious chest in Natlan, then I would need something not only faster but also more versatile. And so, with the current banner being Chaska, I decided to pull for her, not only to have way more possibilities for Natlan, but also to be able to properly progress in Abyss, since she's my first limited 5-star I have on the account. And there she is. Oh wait, I forgot the game hates me. There. Now, for anyone unaware, I am able to fly infinitely, as Natlan has something called Night Soul Transmission, which allows you to switch to another Natlan character mid-flight, and in the case of Chaska and Aoife, this triggers them to start flying. With 2 characters like this, you can just switch between them forever. Oh, and also this is when I made the third and final discovery for this video. If you enter Phlogiston Wind Tunnel and immediately teleport, you will start flying after the teleport concludes. This made it possible to preserve the state of being able to indwell into Saurians after teleporting, since I no longer needed to reload the game after each teleport. Great. With this, I continued exploring until I eventually got the first ring, and I immediately realized there was an issue. Apparently, you can't unlock these vaults until you're at adventure rank 45. At the time of recording, I was hoping to find some way to bypass this restriction, which is why I continued until I got all 3 fragments. Currently, I haven't found anything, so the goal has already been failed. Still, I'm gonna show the last fragment because it was the only one I had to do something special for. It ended up being in an underground ruin, which is part of a quest. The way I got it was by again doing RTP. I just set it up on a nearby waypoint, went to Sumeru and triggered it, then just flew in while the area was loading. And finally, after carefully completing a puzzle without touching the ground, I lowered the water level and got the chest. Anyways, that was a pretty disappointing end to this goal, so let's move on to the one that is unrelated to Natlan for a moment. How far can I get in Abyss? I did the first few floors with Kaching, who I got from the anniversary character selector. This was before I had Chaska or had even reached AR 25, and I managed to get up to floor 5. Anyways, those floors were very simple, so let's skip back to the present. Floors 6 and 7... Floors 6 and 7 were relatively easy. I just had to forge and upgrade some proper weapons and ascend some characters to the maximum level. Reminder that the Ascension quest is, well, a quest, so I can't go past AR 25, which means the max level of characters and weapons is 50. From completing each floor after the 5th, you get a 5-star artifact, which is certainly out of the ordinary on an AR 25 account. With the additional help of a 5-star artifact I got from another source you will see in a future episode and some talent upgrades, I decided to attempt floor 8. It took me 2 attempts and a total of 1.5 hours, but eventually I did it. Anyways, time for the true challenge. How far can I get in the Abyssal Moonspire? Every floor that I clear here is 1 5-star artifact per month. This is the only renewable source of 5-star artifacts on this world level. Floor 9. The main issue I had was simply health. These turret bots do a lot of damage and are really difficult to dodge while dealing damage at the same time. Eventually though, after almost 2 hours of attempts, I managed to clear it and get the 5-star artifact. Might be the worst one so far, but I guess I'll be able to use it for Zibai, who I plan on pulling on in the future. Floor 10 was surprisingly easy. Maybe it's the lack of turret bots, but I managed to clear it in just an hour. Had to reset once though, since I didn't have any Denjo character for the Denjo Scion. I decided to also attempt floor 11. Yes, floor 11 on an adventure rank 25 account. In the first chamber I had to protect the monolith. The enemies were pretty easy to kill, but the cryo ones on the second half literally dealt like half the monolith's HP in a single one of these attacks. After a bunch of resets, I eventually managed to even 3-star it. I should note that this specific Abyss reset has a very useful blessing. Proccing a cryo reaction with an off-field unit creates an AoE true damage explosion that deals 30,000 damage. If not for it, I definitely wouldn't have been able to do this. The second chamber also took quite a few tries. The first half with Chaska was, as usual, relatively easy. The second half wasn't too bad either, but as a certified Zhongli user, I managed to die quite a few times there. In the end, I got 0 stars, but as long as I cleared it, that's all that matters. Finally, there was Chamber 3. In the first half, there are 4 domain keepers. They have an insane amount of HP. For most attempts, it took me over 7 minutes to beat them, which is simply too much to be able to also clear the second half. Eventually, I found out that the element they absorb in one of their special attacks gives them resistance to that element. By specifically giving them Hydro, the weakest element I had, I somehow managed to beat them in 5.5 minutes. I only got a successful clear of the first half once every few attempts, and I failed a bunch on the second half after that too, so as you can imagine, this took quite a while. The second half is simply dealing a lot of damage. There aren't really any tricks I could use there, but after, I'm not kidding, 3.5 hours, I actually managed to beat floor 11. The artifact I got was pretty disappointing, but oh well, having a good main stat is already more than I could ask for. So that's how far I got into Abyss. It's time to return back to Natlan for the last goal of the video, defeating all local legends to complete the Duelist Series 2 achievement pack. For those unaware, it contains 6 local legends, and for each one there are 3 achievements. 1 for simply defeating it, and 2 that are challenges tailored specifically to that enemy. First up is Bronze Lock. It is a ruined guard chilling on this island in the sky of Natlan. The reasonable way to get up there would be to just fly from the peak of Natlan, but that just makes too much sense. So instead I used the glitch to ascend to Celestia, which I, slightly overshot, then fall back into what is considered Natlan and fly to the island. Why? Don't ask. Anyways, defeating it was of course pretty easy. The second achievement asks you to destroy its core 3 times. This was also pretty easy. I just got close and shot with Aoife. Finally, the third achievement requires you to make it absorb 4 elements. For it to absorb an element, it must first get hit by it. Chaska is literally perfect for this, as with the team consisting completely of different elements, there will be 4 different elements that each attack hits with. The only issue is that of course means I can't use Aoife. I initially just tried to stay close to the waypoint to refresh Phlogiston, but Bronze Lock just kept disappearing or knocking me off the island. So what I did instead was climb the wall when I ran out of Phlogiston. By the way, if you're wondering why I'm not getting teleported, I have no clue either. I found this whole mechanic very weird and buggy. Sometimes it can let you stand on the ground for up to 5 seconds, whereas sometimes it's instant. Either way, when you're in the air it can't teleport you, so instantly using a skill works fine. Sometimes. Moving on to the next local legend, which is Ironbeard. He's inside one of the obsidian totems, which at first I thought was going to be an issue, but as I said before, sometimes the game just lets me stand on the ground for a moment, so if I fly up as soon as I teleport in, then there's no issues. Defeating him was again easy. The second achievement though I had doubts about. For it you must break all the stones he spawns, to do which you need to plunge attack. You see the issue, right? But no, once again, vibe coding strikes back. The game again just didn't feel like teleporting me for whatever reason. You can see that in some cases I was straight up just walking around with no consequences. The third and final achievement was just to kill him hitless, which I did for the first one anyways. Next up is Spirit of the Fallen Dawnstar. This fight has special torches that make you deal additional pyro damage, and the boss has a cryo shield, which if not broken in time triggers a powerful attack. The first 2 achievements were a joke, and the last one took 2 attempts. I needed to not get hit by the powerful attack, which I had trouble with since I couldn't break the shield in time. What I did was replace Aoife with Chi-Chi to increase Chaska's damage. Then I disconnected right before I ran out of Phlogiston to allow me to continue dealing damage with Chaska. Upon reconnecting, the boss was basically dead, making me not even need to switch to Aoife. The next local legend would be to Pyro's aid, but I had 0 issues getting all the achievements, so let's just skip to the next one, which is Potapo's Solidarity. This enemy is quite unique. It spawns a spirit that heals when any of your characters heal. When healed enough, it starts dealing damage, and if further larva healed by 250%, and the damage it deals increases. The second achievement requires you to heal every spirit to 100% health. Thankfully, Aoife is a healer, so this one wasn't too bad. The third and final achievement took me quite a few hours. I needed to overheal a spirit to its max of 250%, which at my world level I calculated to be around 17,000 HP. I spent so long trying to use Bennett's Burst, Barbara's Burst, messing around with disconnects, but in the end all I needed to do was still just use Aoife. I upgraded his build to do even more healing and then maximized the time he is on field by not using Night Soul Transmission to switch to Chaska, and instead just abusing the fact that the game has dementia and that it forgets that I should be teleported when standing on the ground. As you can see, by the end it upgraded to dealing 4.5k damage. So I just finished it off with Chaska, and there's the achievement. Time for the last and most difficult local legend. Rely. It feels like she was designed to snipe you out of the air. Out of 4 attacks, 3 of them can easily hit you while flying, especially this one. Even simply defeating her took 2 attempts. The second achievement requires you to kill her while she's in the Fusion Nova state, which is basically just when she's doing this long attack. It took a moment but was manageable. The problem was the third achievement, defeating her in the Fusion Nova state hitless. This genuinely took about 4 hours, partially due to my own stupidity, cause after about 3.5 hours, I forgot to press record when finishing the fight. Either way, I redid the fight. Here it is. And that's it. All local legends from Duelist Series 2 without touching the ground, completed. So that's the episode. 2 out of 3 goals completed. Plus I got to Abyss Floor 11, which I honestly did not expect. If you haven't seen the first episode, it takes place in Inazuma and you can find it on the screen right now. If you want to see more content like this, consider subscribing, liking, commenting and all that other YouTube stuff. Or better yet, watch one of my other videos, it really helps the algorithm. That's it for today though, and I will see you in the next episode. Till next time.